try this one more time here. Let's see if this is working. Alright. How do we sound? Sounds a little staticky. A little staticky? Testing? Testing for 2. Alright, so how do we sound now here? I appreciate y'all's patience. How's this sound? I think we may have some kind of duplication here. Testing? Testing. Ah, there we go. Yeah, we have some duplication of microphones. Alright. Okay. So, now that I have that worked out, I really appreciate y'all's patience with that. So now this is why we do these. I did a text test and it all was supposed to work out the way it was, and it worked the way it was supposed to back then. Do you think it was going to this time around? No. That's okay. Anyway, so going back to our original discussion with land use, local government, that's typically what local government is chief responsible for, regulating its use, property, and inspecting. You know, they have codes, building codes, and fire codes and things of that nature. So local government is usually the one that's responsible for that kind of thing. So, for those who are not familiar with Civic Skylines, it's a city builder made by Paradox Interactive. And it originally was Colossal Order, was the developer, the studio itself. But as of this year, new developers step in. Frostbreak, I believe. Relatively new to this genre, so it stands of a question of whether or not they could be successful in moving this game forward. You know, we do have to admit this game had a very rocky debut. Very broken. I was one of those folks that couldn't play the game for the first couple months because performance issues were very pronounced. But ever since, it has evolved into a game where it's very entertaining. I put like well over 200 hours into this game, and I can show you around a little bit. So let's go with this little journey here. One of my favorite maps is Coral Riches. It's a North American themed map, which you'll see where the buildings, what have you. Gives you a little bit of a climate, so there are a little bit of interactions of the environment with this game. Like when winter time comes in certain maps, you'll see snow in the ground, and you'll actually see a need, an increase in electricity use, what have you, because people want to stay warm, you know. And so you have to manage these surges in your power grid, which is actually kind of nice. Now latitude is northern hemisphere, so it basically aligns with seasons. So you have a bit of a time line going on in the game too, where you have like the months of the year and they coincide with 4 seasons. So you could actually see the trees change color during the autumn time, depending what climate your map is set in addition to seeing snow on the ground. So it's actually kind of nice. And then, again, for those who are unfamiliar with games, you have to manage an economy in your city. It's not just building things, plopping them down, and there you go. Kind of like how SimCity was, for the millennials out there who remember good old-fashioned SimCity. Um, City Skylines, and even the original, kind of toyed with this idea of having your city's economy managed by you, the user, city planning and things of that nature, so having some forethought. So in City Skylines 2, you have natural resources associated with your maps. Each map has different amount of natural resources, and those resources, some of them are without oil, some of them are without coal, or what have you. Some of them have a lot more farmland than others. So using these resources, you can actually build an industrial base that actually produces goods, what have you, based on those resources. For example, with the timber industry, you have paper, cardboard manufacturing, things of that nature. With oil, you can have fuel processing and refining, and the associated pollution that comes with those kind of facilities. A relatively new resource the game added was fishing. So you can have like the ability to create inland farm fishing and offshore and offshore farming and wild fishing, which is kind of interesting. Nice dynamic to it. And then that kind of goes with you kind of see here outside connections. Now you don't exist obviously in this vacuum. You will have other cities around that you can loosely interact with in the sense of having people come and go, having resources go, connecting to the outside connections with your ports and airports, your rail connections, buses and what have you, which ties into the other thing this game manages is basically transportation systems between mass transit of moving people to moving freight around. And it goes multimodal. You have rail, you have air, you have sea, and you have by road. So it's actually kind of interesting to see the varying levels of difficulty that you can also apply to this. With the gameplay, you can do normal difficulty, and you have a lot more management of your local economy, where certain industries, factories, what have you, will struggle if they can't reach the resources that they need at a profitable price. So in that economy, you need to manage things in a sense where your businesses can thrive. And if they can thrive, they grow, and you just have this happiness factor with your game play, where it attracts more people, and they fill in jobs inevitably that are created by a growing city economy. So that being said, like I said, Core Riches is one of my favorite maps because A, it's rich in resources, but also it's flat. It can be a little tricky. There are some performance issues with this game still, and there's a reason why the developers changed. Just very recently, there was this handoff. Colossal Order dropped a bunch of we'll say updates and patches where now we have bike lanes, and bike infrastructure, parking, garages, things of that nature. You can actually make bike lanes in your roads, and you have the debate take place in your city of why are bikes hogging the road? They're made for cars, or you have vice versa, where you have bicyclists moving to your city. Like, gee whiz, it'd be great if the city had bike infrastructure. I don't want to die on the street. Very real problems exist digitally that you can manage in this game. I usually play it easy. It's much more casual when it comes to managing the economy and also sandboxing. You get to play around with features. I haven't explored a lot of the features in this game yet, truly. So it's going to be a decent number of things that in our journey of these live streams, you'll see me be exploring and seeing how they work. Because with the game being handing off to the developer, we're most likely going to see the performance algorithms change too in this game. Because this is one of the first games where it actually uses a AI kind of way of how the game kind of fleshes itself out, how the buildings are built, how the people move and behave. Because every sim in this game is truly unique. They have their own name, they have a family in certain cases, they have an address, so there's a house that's tied to them, and they're tied to a job. So if your town or city has like 2,000 jobs, and you have 2,000 people living in your place, and you have 1,500 adults, so you have 1,500 adults each tied to a job, and you still have 500 open jobs with people coming in. You'll see how the game will assign a job depending on their education level. It's truly interesting gameplay, and it can be quite addicting if you're really into certain games like this. It truly can be make your own adventure. Now Barrier Islands is another nice map, but here we'll go for a mass. We'll proceed. You know, have like a nice little going on to South Philly themed kind of city. Let's say Southwark. You know, that's a nice neighborhood in Philadelphia. You do North American theme. Now I saw in the poll that I posted on Facebook yesterday, it was kind of giving folks a little bit of an idea. Kind of giving folks a bit of an idea of how I wanted to spin this with decision making. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, I want to give folks a little bit of an idea of like I want to bring in like ideas for governance in the city. So how do we want to focus? Sound excellent. Yeah, what sound person we have? All right, excellent. Interested in the. Oh, why are we going offline here? All right, we're back. Okay, I think technical issue there. Alright. Looks like we're back. Weird. Very weird. There we go. There's a bunch of stuff running there. Okay. Yeah, a bunch of stuff running on my other screen, slowing down the computer. But looks like we solved that. And let me take a quick moment because of these tech issues. I just want to also take a moment to shout out to a lot of the support that was given to me in setting this up. There's a lot of folks out there who post things to Reddit and Google and all that have gone through this process, and it's very helpful. The information that they shared for me to help myself and setting this up. And the music is Chill Hop service. It's like an open source music provider where basically lo-fi artists provide their music to creators, streamers, and things of that nature for use for streaming. And you don't have to worry too much about copyright flags and things of that nature. So it gives us the ability to add a lot more dynamism to our live streams. So that being said, I'd like to try to get some actual building done here, you know? I know we got some growing pains and stuff like that, but that's why we do this. That's why we do this. So, laying out bare streets and things of that nature, when it comes to this game, is thoughtful planning, especially in the beginning, because you're gonna have this huge crush of people initially coming into your city, and God help you if you don't have a road system that's able to. Having some lagging issues with graphics. Like I said, it's all a matter of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. Because there's one of those things where you don't want your game to lag in situations like this when you're trying to show people things. It can be super annoying. But anyway, so like I said, laying out a very strong road system straight from the get-go will enable your new town to really absorb that huge influx of people. Now, what I try to do here is I like to do like a traditional grid, which is what a lot of Americans out there are going to be familiar with. I heard a bunch of collective groans from people in Europe just now. I said grid pattern with city planning. Take a look at some maps of European cities, especially older ones. Now, obviously, post World War II, there's a lot of rebuilding, so you gotta take certain things, of older areas of Europe being recently rebuilt. They kind of have a little more of a design. But you have cities in Europe, like Barcelona, that have like this amazing layout for the city. So I really do suggest folks, if you're interested in something beautiful too to look at, is Barcelona. It's just absolutely something amazing. But anyway, so I try to set out this little grid, and I try to think ahead, in a sense. Like, I want this probably to be more of light residential. So it really wouldn't make much sense to have it be, 2-lane, 4-lane road. If you look here, I was using medium, so it's like a 2-lane road here, and you see like it automatically puts in the traffic. It's kind of traffic signals. Certain roads it won't do that, which you'll see. You'll just have stop signs. But you can alter the type of road here. You can convert it. You have to like completely rebuild. So I kind of want these. I want this area to be like low density residential. And the reason for that, when it comes to land use and things of that nature. So let me show you. So we go into wind turbines, so we see wind direction now, okay? And we see like the speed, how it would produce, what have you. So obviously the brighter, I would say obviously, but the brighter, longer arrows here coincide with stronger winds, and when you have here weak, it barely generates anything. But what I'm suggesting here with placement for low density, this reason. You have this amount of groundwater. So here in this game, you have the water source. You provide water for things. And you have these little areas of groundwater everywhere. And you can pollute that. If you put industry over it, or you put something else that will pollute, and then you have some kind of, like, for example, a groundwater pumping station, and you have that feeding into your water system, and something's polluting that same reservoir, you're gonna make people sick. And it actually shows. You see little icons start popping up that your people are sick. So you have the groundwater there. Now, alternatively, you have a water pumping station that you can place right here on the edge of land and coincides with, you know, a river or a lake. And as you can see too, the amount of water it generates far exceeds by like 25,000 cubic meters more output going this route. Now, let me pause by saying, like, I'm playing with unlimited money. So going back to that soundbox thing that I was mentioning earlier, just having the freedom to do whatever you want. It's not like that most times. If you play with unlimited money, you can actually play with a budget. You see, it starts at like 2 million, and you have milestones that you have to achieve. And when you achieve those milestones, it unlocks more advanced, we'll say, infrastructure. Gives you more options for roads, the ability to zone higher density, being able to provide, you know, like bigger, unique buildings and things of that nature as well. I used to play like that, but it's obviously it's yeah, like it limits you. You know, I'm still trying things out. Like as I was saying earlier, I'm still figuring things out. This game is still constantly changing. So we're close to going back to this little thing here, building of our little neighborhood and its relation to the groundwater that's nearby. Now, in the past, and I'm going to do it again because it's just what I know, is I make this whole area down here industry. Okay? The reason why I do that is that just as a local land use person would do, they're looking at having to make choices that probably aren't the most perfect choice, not the most ideal. So here we're still going to be polluting potentially 2 large areas of groundwater. Now, in a perfect world, I wouldn't want to do that. But we don't live in a perfect world, and sometimes we have to make choices where sacrifices were made. Now, granted, we can have development of industry that's cleaner in the get-go, and we can find ways to mitigate pollution. But I just have to make sure in the future that we're not drawing any water from these reservoirs, because they most likely are going to be fairly close to industrial zones, which result in sick people, and we don't want that. I hope you all have a beverage as well that you're enjoying. I had some coffee that I'm enjoying. You know, I'll bring up the studio here and make sure they're doing everything okay. Like I said, it's still a work in progress, and some, yeah. Alright, we're good. We're good. Okay, so going back with our wonderful plan here, so this will be light, or this will be low density. So I'm going to, I want to make some larger blocks. So probably 2. So this will be. So when I do this. Desks here, these 3 blocks here will basically form a block of low residential. And we'll do this over here. Let's see. We'll make that. Okay. And so we'll just flesh this out here a little bit. Now I have a base kind of set up, a little framework. So, like I said here, folks are coming in here. So what I could potentially do is have folks be funneled in here and kind of create like a one-way kind of thing going on. In the future, like for example, like here, like a three-way, one-way. So just you have three lane one-way. City of Skylines Afterburner. That's the thing too. This game, it does have day and night visuals, which is cool. But that's actually a really good idea. I'm not gonna do it. So. This is a nice track. So. One outcrop there for service people. You have the road work, your road maintenance crew. You need a building. There's a Parks and Rec maintenance building. You could have recycling facility, stuff like that. So we're going to solar. So we'll just solar plant there. Build high tension. That takes care of that. So now we have power. And that power line goes all the way to the outside connection. And we have now set up our city where we will have the ability to export our power, and then we can generate revenue. Going. Yeah, we'll do some groundwater. It's just simple since we don't have access to this. So we'll only be using 13%, and we can keep it right there. Yep. In the future, we'll probably make that into offering up from the highway as well. This is probably going to be low residential. As the name suggests, low density residential. The houses are rather large. The properties are rather large, and so they take up a great deal of space. You can quickly run out of buildable space very quickly in the cities if you're not careful. Like there's one map that before I knew I used up a lot of the buildable space, easy buildable space, I'll take out like a mountain. It's a little weird. So this here, we can, being a 4-lane road, 2 lanes each direction, we can keep it moving for folks who don't live in residential, in a private smattering commercial properties. There's like here, waterfront, because we like to be bougie like that. Waterfront property, ooh la la. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Would you not want to live here? Would you not want to live on this gorgeous waterfront property, looking out onto this gorgeous property? You know, future property here. You know, you're just looking out here in this future property. So now, some of these maps have pre-existing stuff. Like for example, let's go over here. You have like an old mill ruins, and look at the details. I even you just saw me. I literally put the settings down for the quality of detail to medium. This is medium. This is medium. The other settings, like the higher ones, kill my GPU. I have a mid-level. Full disclosure, I have a mid-level NVIDIA RTX GPU that I'm using. In the future, my husband and I are probably gonna get a desktop because like obviously we're running into a few performance issues with this. I'm using a G15 Dell gaming laptop. Is my setup rig setup, and it has its limitations. Like this is probably the most it's ever done is run a live stream, a game, and I still have what, Google Chrome running in the background. I should probably save on resources. Why do I still have it? Oh yeah, because I have that. Oh yeah, because I wanted to. Yeah, some notes I was taking of this live stream, many things I wanted to cover. One my notes. The main purpose for this live stream was, in land use and how and that all ties into federalism. How I mentioned federal, state, and local government, previously. Well, our 3 levels of government represents the exercise and the concept of what is known as federalism. We live in a federal republic. There are powers that are invested. Look it up. That's all it says. So that can mean a lot of things if you're a smart lawyer and you like to interpret things and play with words. That can mean a lot of things. But when it comes to setting up local governments, we keep dropping here. Where that? Okay, we're. Oh, so weird. Okay, we're back. So strange. I might have to set up a backup streaming feed because yeah, that seems to be wanting to drop. Oh, I put it there. Okay, we're good. Okay, yeah, I closed that. It's very strange. Wants to drop my streamer once in a while. Alright. Looks like... Okay. Yeah, okay. Looks like we're back on. I wonder why he's dropping it. I have to set like a backup stream feed or something, because it looks like something wants to keep dropping the feed and wants to reset things. Yeah, I have my phone down here. I have it set to my Twitch stream manager, and every once in a while I just see it kink out, and probably leaving y'all like, what is going on? But we're all learning together. But yeah, so like I said, was saying earlier, we're tying in how federalism and what have you, this division of powers. And here, us being a local government, we're determining how we're going to lay out our roads. State does that as well. PennDOT, Pennsylvania. If you live around, other states, other Department of Transportation, whatever their fun little acronym is. Just across the river from where I live in Philadelphia, we have New Jersey, and they do things a little differently in New Jersey. So, and that goes to speak to states do things drastically different from one another in certain cases. Other cases, it's very, very similar to how they do things. Going off these things. Camera looks like that every once in a while. But yeah, so like laying out the roads and stuff like that, typically there's a shared responsibility. You have local roads. In Pennsylvania, you have state roads. We have local roads as well. Things where like the townships and boroughs and counties in Pennsylvania take care of that. How the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is set up is we have our state government under our state constitution, which was our latest one, like 1969, adopted and ratified. So we're using a very recent evolution of our constitutional law here in PA. But how we set things up is that we have boroughs, and we also have cities, and we have one town. There's one town, legally speaking, in Pennsylvania. It's Bloomsburg, town of Bloomsburg. Everything else, when it comes to usually a small town or something that you see, is usually a borough. Like for example, my grandfather, he's the mayor of a borough in Pennsylvania. It's kind of neat, small town, 2,300 people. Watsontown, PA. You can look that up. It's kind of nice. Like 2,300 people, I think. And then a lot of townships. We have townships in Pennsylvania. And then in those classifications, like for example, cities and townships, we have various classes. Furthermore, we also have counties. So underneath counties is where you have your boroughs and townships, in your town and what have you. And your counties, your townships, and your cities have various classes. Like for example, for cities, we have a third class, second class, and first class classification system. We only have one first class city in Pennsylvania. That's the city of Philadelphia, where I am. Then you have the second class city, that's Pittsburgh. And you have third class cities, and that's the most common. You have like Allentown, which is our third largest city in PA, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Allentown, third class city of Lancaster, city of York, Scranton, Williamsport, Erie. You get the picture. Now, where it gets super in your face, like why, are the counties classes. There's like 1 through 6. There's a lot. And how you determine the classes is by population. So how Pennsylvania's Constitution, we say PA, Pennsylvania, if you're Pennsylvanian, these are acronyms. We determine classes by population. Like, for example, they structured the law in such a way that for there only to be one first-class city, they structured the population in such a way that only Philadelphia would meet that criteria. Same thing with Pittsburgh, same thing with third-class cities, what have you. And when those municipalities go from, they can go from one class to another. Townships do this from like, you have first class, second class, and third class townships. And a lot of times you'll see second class townships want to be upgraded and to a first class township. And there are certain rights that are afforded to you by the state that wouldn't be afforded to a different class. Like, say for example, if you're a first class township, like Manheim Township, and like your city, there's a population standard you have to fulfill, and you also have to have like certain services provided to the people, your residents, like, for example, police, what have you. So that being said, there's a process, and that process between state and local plays out in a lot of different ways. For example, here, in this context, we're setting up a lot of local roads. These are all basically local routes, because as you'll see here, yeah, services and all that, service upkeeps. Oh look, we're already, maintenance and resources. So I wonder what that's all about. Water, electricity, and roads, things that we've already established in our city. So basically, we are in a building together, the infrastructure, and that costs money. Same thing with the roads. So this being, taking it back, this being a local road, we bear the full weight of maintaining those roads. You have in Pennsylvania, and this plays out differently in other states and other jurisdictions, a shared responsibility. Like you'll see, certain announcements and press releases where local, state, and federal partners coming together for a road project or some other infrastructure project. A lot of times, you will see state and federal partnering up to do like interstate work and things of that nature. So, doing a lot of explanation, obviously this being our first foray into doing this. I just realized that we've built water, but we haven't done anything about wastewater. Where is our crap gonna go? God. Oh no. So, obviously we don't want to put this over our groundwater. You don't want your poop going into your drinking water. The reason why that is because dysentery, typhoid, coli, all that stuff are actual things. Germ theory is a thing. And you really don't want your people getting sick. That puts a strain in your public health system. Also, people don't want to live in a city where they're drinking their poop. Don't want that. So this takes care of sewage. So we need to place this far away from groundwater or other sources of drinking water. So we see we built this little area for solar and all that fun stuff. That's good. Oh, let's see the power. Oh yeah, the power line blocking us, but that's okay. We set that right there. And you see how piping connected. So one is the actual water supply, blue, and then the yellowish orange color is our sewage. And you see that comes with, when you build the roads, it automatically puts power, water infrastructure together. And then these little blocks here are zonable lands. You know, like these little grids. So nothing can be built so far out here, but you know, this that zone. And you can put like special buildings and roads and stuff like that. Oh yeah, you can change it. I forgot about that. I'll let you do that in game now. So we have water and we have power. Those are the two most basic things to at least get us started with actually getting things built here. So now getting into the fun thing finally, after how long? 51 minutes of explaining and context and introducing features of this game. We can actually start like building things other than infrastructure and roads. The fun stuff, because that's where you get this really cool stuff with buildings. But I want to explain, for disclosure, I have mods going on this game. Excuse me, my ginger ale. And one of those mods is the space. It breaks down the low density housing into 3 levels. So you have this solid, like prefabricated $1 sign, $2 signs, traditional housing style housing, $3 sign, the driveways, garages, and carports, and stuff like that. So, hoity-toity people. Oh, we get their fancy stuff. As we say in the city, driveways are fancy. But, so what I'll do, I've never played with these mods. This particular mod here, the residential one. So, what I'll do is do the prefab here, because we are coming into the city here. I don't want too complicated of housing things going on there. The noise not, so you're not gonna get the best effect of happiness. So you're not gonna get the best, most efficient use of the land here. If you're setting it up for low rent or what have you, in a sense, because the traffic here will cause pollution and noise and stuff like that, so it's not desirable in a sense. I also don't want to put commercial or anything there because it causes traffic coming and going when people are basically trying to come into the city. I'm trying to keep this main road as clear as possible, but what I most likely am going to do, I'm actually going to do it right now, is build some additional ways of getting on and off of the highway. You see how we just kind of did that. And then here, so the line there lines up. It lets you do that. So now there are 2 ways. Now granted, you still have here. There are now 2 ways from this junction to get into the city. Main way here, and then folks, you know, we'll make this pretty much low density housing as well. So maybe some commercial smired in there, low density commercial. People can come in. Now, if they want to leave, what's probably going to be an issue is you're going to have to travel across here, and that might create some pinch points of traffic. Because like obviously there's only 2 ways to get out of the city, so they're on one side of the road. So obviously that creates pinch points. So what I can attempt to do here, actually what I'm actually going to try and do is we'll do that, and we'll elevate, and then so we'll make that, and then we'll create that. And you see how that kind of goes in there. I just realized that there's a little yellow sun there a little bit before. It must be new. But so now, folks don't need to travel all the way across. Excuse me, city. This road here, the main arterial that we're building, they won't have to cross all the way over there. Pardon me. To get out. Like, you see the level of detail? Like when you're the staining of the concrete. Look at that. But yeah, some of the names are automatically generated. You know, Victoria Highway. It's gonna be let's probably keep that there. Primrose. Primrose ramp. We'll call that Primrose ramp. Not really a ramp, but it's a way. It's definitely not. It's, you know, ramp. Goldenrod. Ramp. There. Okay. Yeah. See condition. Let's talk about early road maintenance crews and building. You have road conditions, and this does deteriorate over time. And yes, weather does play a role in this too. The constant winter-summer cycle causes wear and tear. For the colder climate, it gets rougher. Also, the colder climate, you need snowplows. And you do see snowplows go around your city. It's the cutest thing. I love it. Yeah, see, it looks like I got to the end of my playlist. I had 27 songs on Chill Hop. So if you're seeing on Twitch, you can see a little button down there, like Chill Hop. Music private Chill Hop. There are 27 songs in the playlist. Not entirely sure how long that was going to last, but looks like we got a solid hour, over an hour, just about. It's not terrible. So I'm gonna need more songs. So I'll be going through Chill Hop and probably adding, definitely adding songs to that. You know, as we do more live streams, I know the viewership, I'm basically talking to myself a little bit. That's okay. This is how this stuff starts. And I told you I'll video on demand, so I'll be able to share this. And we can all laugh and play together and reminisce how we had so much fun learning how to play this game together. Yeah, so my computer out. Let's fix that. Yeah, sorry, just kind of going through some settings here. Yeah, turning off hardware acceleration on browser. I'm realizing there's just some settings that are causing my stream to crash. Yeah. So. That's probably what's causing it. The upscaler. Wow, actually, this is not better. Okay. Yeah, testing it out. I don't know, I'm like changing some things around. That's better. It's like a little bit of a different game now. I also it's really terrible. out some more settings here. Alright. There we go. Get some chill beats going on here. I'm also playing around with some, realizing some of my settings are really screwed up for this configuration, but looks like it's a little better. Moss in the trees. Alright. So we have our grid. Again, the grid is in Europe. Sewer, water, power, solar. So you can do some upgrades there, crafting the sun, and you can even do like a backup battery in case something were to happen. So let's do that. Got that going. Some more low density, residential. Lovely commercial. What else is saying about industry? I'm gonna make that completely a separate area. So you're gonna blow up some highway. Yeah. Blow it up. typical area. Oh no! Huh. This is always a funny part. These schmoes. Huh. What a day to wake up and be alive, huh? Anyway. We actually make some, like intersections and stuff like that. It's actually pretty neat, you know. It's like a really interesting work of art. So many intersections people make in the mods, the assets and stuff like that. My head is. Looks like it wants to do all kinds of stuff. So it's gonna do it. Actually, I attach pretty well home. So we're going to do here. Okay. Oops. There. That's fun. Happy highways. There you go. Happy highways. You'll see. I feel bad. I did that in real life. There you go. Get that traffic going. These motorcycles. Oh, I get worried about these guys. These motorcycles. Oh wait, I forgot to tell you. I was saying everyone has HD Sims is uniquely generated. Yeah, see, motorcycle. Unless I didn't know what that was. There you go. Fire vehicle. I don't know. But anyway, the Sims themselves, each have their own names. Where they're coming from, where they're going. There's people in there. But yeah. Alright, so we got that intersection set up. It's now basically extending out the highway. Sorry, I wasn't sure exactly which direction I wanted to take with building. Over here. I'm just gridding this out again. I don't like having roads too close to the main lane in and out because it just creates headaches. So what I'll do is one every other one. other side. Get rid of all that, 'cause, you know, you don't want too many intersections close to each other, because it really does create traffic nightmare. And you just hear people complaining, rightfully so. They can't get anywhere. And the ambulances can't get to where they need to go. Houses burn down. There's fire trucks can't get where they need to go. Police can't respond. The whole system breaks down. The industry can't function because it can't, the whole supply chain starts to fall apart. If we all remember what happened during the pandemic when the supply chain started to crumble, inflation just, and it kills business. Like, businesses can't operate in situations like that because they don't turn a profit. They can't get the things they need to produce the goods that they need to produce. And so the people either sit idle or they get laid off. And that just cascades. So now, for instance, where I was saying earlier, we're going to be sacrificing underground water reservoir to the industry here and have fleets, but maybe have a safe water system for drawing from it. Okay, so that's a pretty sizable initial setup for industry. Now it's separate. You can see here how the electrical grid is separate from the main. So you have to find a way to connect them. Okay. So what I do, you can either do the low voltage electric all the way, or as I like to do, build transformer station, high voltage, and then build underground high voltage one. And that power will also go down here. And it's hooked up, see here, it's hooked up to the grid. And we gotta do the same thing with water. But as you can see, we gotta either do pipe, running pipe all the way. Because we could put independent water system, like groundwater, and a wastewater facility, but we also need to bear in mind that if we were working with a budget and we weren't working with unlimited money, the cost of that. Well, you wouldn't even really see me be spreading out the building here. As much as you see me doing, it wouldn't work with the budget that they give you. I'm all over the place. Whoops. I wasn't paying attention. I'm talking to fine people. Whoops. Scale back here. All the way down to where the main pipe is. Oh, you see, because we're underground wire there, it overlaps. Alright, so, you see that it's connected in a logic way. So, this industrial zone area now has power and water and sewer, really. Now, what we can do, since we're down here, is build a fire station, small one, down there, and then Up here, we can build a large one. What headquarters will say. Then the police. Again, bear in mind that the cost of you know, oops, small one. Oops, we'll move the small one. I just like to have this because it increases your people's happiness and you're able to get better looking buildings, you know, more advanced buildings and stuff like that. Oh, is there a beginning button? Cemetery. Crematorium. Those are always kind of interesting. But this one I'm using the Netherlands content skin. This is another of those themes. NL, Netherlands Crematorium. It's typically what you find like a Dutch style, some unassuming office building looking thing. It's actually a crematorium. I like using it because it's nondescript. The traditional, the vanilla one, it looks like it's that one. It's traditional, like looks like an old tone kind of thing going on. Not bad, but not my style. Here's the healthcare. You can see ambulances, police, fire now set up. Oh yeah, we need internet. So here you actually can build telecom towers and such. Mail, you can do mail as well. Alright, let's get this party started. Get some row homes, some northeastern row homes here. Oh, is this gonna happen here? Is it's not gonna let you develop the other part there. So what we'll do, those side streets, southerly side streets going on. What's that? What's this? Check that out. And some demand. It has some demand for high density, so I could do some low rent places here. Alright. Once we have a half hour left too from the our live stream. But yeah, we have this going. So I think in the last like half hour here, I just kind of like do some free gaming and all that here on this, and just kind of let y'all tag along and you always want to like chat with me. I have my chat open, and Yeah, thanks for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I learned a little bit. Thank you for your patience with the links and stuff, technical issues. But yeah, thank you. These are special bonuses you can build within your city that give certain bonuses and effects nearby areas. So this one's pretty. You have the households that come in here. Summers living there. Yeah, see, really cool stuff. What's the rest of the office? I gotta take a little stick for a second. You know, I have to write up my spreadsheet. 1 minute. Okay. Sorry about that. I needed a snack. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. So we got like last 9 minutes to go on our stream. So as you can see, how land use kind of developed for zoning. So we have, oh, okay, pause this. So stuff for next time, things like trash removal. Trash is piling up at the solar power plant. That's bad, because that's going to start impacting its efficiency. As you can see, piled up garbage is minus 14%. So we need to fix that. But you can see we don't have any traffic jams. Usually, if you just put everything like this dense right here, where you have like 50 people per building and you have like 4 or 5 buildings like that, that's a lot of cars. And they usually just start congregating right here, waiting to turn on and drop the person off at the new house. It just causes a nightmare of traffic congestion where nothing else can go out. It's like a main arterial into your city from the outside world. Nothing else. Usually, in path playthroughs on this map, I continue on the main road there. I was going along the river and I'll connect on. So folks who are traveling along that highway down here, they can use this little interchange right here. It's built into the map. I didn't build this. This was built into the map. Goes from, like, we'll say east to west, the north south. So usually I'll continue that on all the way up to our little northern neighbor, I'll say. But in future live streams, what we're gonna do, we'll start exploring things like mass transit. Because look here, it's rail. We didn't even talk about rail. We didn't talk about subways. There's subways you can do. There's a bus. There's bus systems. There's taxis. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, like a little train resources you do at train station. But just the stuff. What else is there? But just the stuff like that. It gives you a sense of just the depth and the complexity of this game. And you know, allowing you to like choose your own adventure. Like I've seen some pretty amazing creations, cities, what have you, provided. Yeah. So that being said, I just want to take this last few minutes to kind of thank you all for joining me, and I'm gonna sign off. It's been a couple hours now. So being our first one. Yeah, just kind of like a good start for us. So we'll save this. Oh yeah, that was a little city of mine. 15,000. You can see I have some of my older ones here in the past. Oh, then I got you. Again, here, last few minutes, I'm just closing things out. But yeah, thank you again for joining me tonight. It's kind of, this was very new. It was kind of intimidating at first, but yeah. So in the future, we'll do some more of these live streams, kind of explaining things, tying stuff together. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a great evening and Happy New Year. Hope everyone has a great 2026. Yeah, we're 3 days into it. Got some stuff going on. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a great night.